The courtroom was tense, almost suffocating, as Kody Brown stood at the center, fists clenched, his wives flanking him. One glared, one wept, one sat in rigid silence. The judge leaned forward, voice sharp and commanding. "Mr. Brown," she said, "are you prepared to admit the truth about what you did?" A heavy silence fell over the room. And then everything began to unravel. This was no ordinary family dispute. This was the most explosive courtroom battle in Sister Wives history. A confrontation that would expose lies, betrayal, secret bank accounts, and broken promises. Kody Brown, once the proud patriarch of a polygamous dynasty, now faced the women who had once trusted him without question. To his right, Robin Brown clutched his hand, tears streaming but her gaze fierce. To his left, Christine, Janelle, and Meri sat together, silent, resolute, united by fire rather than faith. The judge's eyes swept the courtroom. "This court will now hear the case of Brown versus Brown," she announced. Allegations include financial fraud, emotional distress, breach of marital contract, and concealment of shared property. Christine rose, calm but cutting, her navy blazer sharp against the courtroom's wooden tones. "Your Honor," she began, voice steady, "we were lied to for years. Kody told us we were equal, made vows not just spiritual but financial. And when we questioned him, he gaslighted us. Then he gave everything to her." Her hand pointed across the room to Robin. A whisper escaped Robin's lips. "I didn't know." Kody's jaw tightened. Christine slid a thick folder across the table to her lawyer. "These are bank statements, property records, and legal contracts," she said. "They show a clear pattern. Kody diverted funds, forged signatures, and left us with nothing," the courtroom murmured. The gavel struck sharply, echoing in the tense air. The judge studied the documents. "Kody Brown," she said, "you are accused of siphoning joint family finances into accounts owned solely by yourself and your legal wife, Robin Brown, disadvantaging your spiritual spouses. Do you understand these charges?" Kody rose slowly. "I understand," he said, but there was no remorse in his voice, only bitterness. Christine's eyes narrowed. "We're not twisting anything, Kody. You twisted our lives." The court was about to witness a revelation that would turn everything upside down. Attorney Sutton, sharp and unyielding, took the floor. "Your Honor, this isn't just a divorce. This is a calculated conspiracy. For years, Mr. Brown presented himself as the provider for one big, happy family. What he didn't reveal was how he was systematically cutting everyone else out." A screen flickered to life beside the judge, displaying a timeline from 2018 to 2023. Bank withdrawals, real estate transfers, untraceable wire payments, all meticulously charted. In 2019, Sutton narrated, Kody closed the joint Flagstaff account and moved $63,000 to a private account. Weeks later, a house was purchased under Robin's name. None of the other wives were informed. The screen zoomed in, Robin's signature on closing documents. A photo of a lavish home. Christine pressed her lips tight. Janelle nodded solemnly. Meri looked down. Robin's face, pale and trembling, spoke volumes. "I didn't know," she whispered, audible enough for the courtroom. The judge leaned forward. "Are you saying, Mrs. Brown, that you were unaware of these transactions?" Kody gripped her hand. "Don't answer that, Robin." "Mr. Brown, you are not allowed to speak for the witness," the judge cut him off sharply. Robin's head dropped, shaking. Christine's lawyer produced a second file. Text messages between Kody and a private contractor in Flagstaff. Robin's name only. No need to involve the others. This is our future. "He wasn't building a family," Christine said, voice cutting through the courtroom. "He was building a dynasty for one wife." Kody's lawyer objected, citing lack of context, but the evidence was damning. Documents, text messages, secret recordings, everything pointed to one undeniable truth: intentional deceit. A flash drive was handed to the bailiff. The courtroom's main screen flickered, revealing a grainy secret recording from a family meeting. Kody's voice, unmistakable, filled the room. "I'm done trying to please everyone. Robin's the only one who supports me. That's why I'm building a future with her." The gallery gasped. Janelle whispered under her breath, "That's who he really is." Christine stepped forward. "We weren't wives to him. We were obstacles." The gavel struck again. A 10-minute recess followed, during which the hallway exploded with reporters, cameras, and fans. The Brown family, once a symbol of unity, had become a fractured mirror. Robin returned to the courtroom, hesitant, pale, yet deliberate. She took the stand, swore on the Bible, and began to speak, her voice barely audible, shaking but truthful. I didn't manage the money, she said. Kody did. He told me what to sign. I didn't ask questions. I just wanted stability. Sutton pressed further, uncovering emails and correspondence that revealed intent to isolate the other wives from joint assets. The court watched, stunned, as the extent of the deception unfolded. Hidden funds, secret plans, and premeditated exclusion. The case escalated further when Gwen Brown, Kody's daughter, entered. Calm, collected, and determined to reveal the truth, she submitted a recording from a private family meeting in 2022. In it, Kody admitted, "We need to be strategic. Move everything into your name. Keep them confused. This is about legacy now. Our legacy." The courtroom was silent. The evidence was overwhelming. Kody attempted to justify his actions, but Christine's response was firm. "We didn't leave. We were pushed out, lied to, replaced. You built a kingdom, Kody, not a family." The judge's gavel struck again, echoing like the final word of a storm. The court formally acknowledged the recording and the emails as evidence of financial and emotional misconduct, confirming intent to deceive and manipulate. Kody slumped in his chair. Robin's eyes were red and wide. Even his legal team looked rattled. 3 wives had united against him. The 4th had confessed. In that moment, the courtroom, and the world watching, knew the truth. This wasn't just betrayal. This was premeditated manipulation, and the empire Kody had built was beginning to crumble. The court reconvened after the second recess. The air inside was electric, heavy with anticipation. Every eye tracked the empty bench where Kody's wives had once sat. For the first time, even the defendant looked uncertain. He shifted in his chair, glancing nervously at Robin, who had yet to return. Then the doors opened. Robin stepped in. Her movements were deliberate, cautious, a long coat folded over her arms like armor. Her face was pale, lips pressed tight, but her eyes scanned the room with a quiet determination. Kody did not look at her. The other 3 wives remained seated, calm, focused, like a wall of silent strength. The judge called the courtroom to order. "We now request Mrs. Robin Brown to take the stand." Robin walked forward slowly, placing her hand on the Bible. Her voice barely above a whisper, she swore to tell the truth. The silence was almost deafening. Attorney Sutton approached. "Mrs. Brown, were you aware that multiple family accounts were transferred into private accounts solely under your name?" Robin blinked rapidly. I didn't manage the money. Kody did." Sutton pressed on. "And the property deeds you signed? Those were yours?" Robin's gaze dropped. "Yes. But Kody told me what to sign." "I didn't ask questions. I just wanted stability. He said it was to protect our future." "Temporary," the gallery murmured. Christine leaned forward, anger flashing in her eyes. "Temporary?" she spat. "While we were struggling, you were buying houses?" The courtroom energy shifted. Janelle's sudden interruption shattered the fragile calm. "Temporary?" she repeated from the bench, her voice sharp enough to silence the room. Sutton zeroed in. "Mrs. Brown, why were the other wives excluded from these purchases? Why are you the only one listed on household insurance?" Robin's hands gripped the armrests. "He said the others didn't want the life anymore." Christine's voice cut through, resolute. "We didn't want his lies anymore, not the life he promised us." The tension was unbearable. Sutton continued, methodically unraveling Kody's actions. Joint funds diverted, private accounts opened, hidden contracts, secret meetings. Each revelation landed like a punch. Robin's voice cracked as she whispered, "Since 2020, since Truly's surgery, I didn't know the money came from that account." Christine's eyes widened in disbelief. 2020, the year the family had relied on borrowed funds for medical care. Yet Kody and Robin had been quietly building private wealth. Then, Attorney Sutton dropped the bombshell, a previously undiscovered email from Robin to Kody dated December 4th, 2021. The courtroom froze as the email appeared on the screen. "If we move everything into my name, it'll give us leverage. They won't have any power. Just tell Christine we're tightening the budget. She won't dig too far. Meri doesn't care. And Janelle's always too nice." Robin's hand flew to her mouth. Christine shook her head slowly. It had all been part of a plan. The courtroom's air was thick with disbelief. Even Meri, stoic until now, leaned back in her chair, stunned. The judge's voice broke the silence. "Mrs. Brown, did you write this email?" Robin's reply was barely audible. "Yes." The gavel struck again. Evidence confirming intentional isolation of the other wives from family assets was now officially part of the record. Christine's team had dismantled the narrative Kody had tried to maintain for years. But the revelations were far from over. Gwen Brown, Kody's daughter, entered quietly, her presence commanding. Calm, composed, and determined, she carried with her the final piece of evidence. "Your Honor," Sutton addressed the court, "the witness has submitted a recording from December 2022, a private family meeting in Flagstaff. It contains admissions critical to this case." Kody's lawyer leapt to object, but the judge held up a hand. Gwen confirmed it was recorded on her own phone and the objection was overruled. The courtroom lights dimmed. The video began, shaky but clear enough. Kody's voice echoed. "We need to be strategic, Robin. Christine's stirring up the others. If we give them anything, they'll use it against us. Move everything into your name. We stay protected. This is about legacy. Our legacy." A gasp reverberated across the gallery. Janelle clenched her fists. Meri let out a strangled laugh. Christine froze, watching the truth she had long suspected play out on screen. Even Robin couldn't escape the weight of the words. Kody's voice continued. "Keep them confused, they'll back off. This is about legacy now. Our legacy." The screen went black. Silence. Sutton turned to the judge. "No further questions, Your Honor." The weight of the evidence hung heavy in the air. Kody slumped in his chair, his empire cracking for all to see. Robin's eyes were red and wide, raw with emotion. 3 wives had united against him. The 4th had confessed. And the courtroom, and the world watching, now understood the depth of the manipulation. Christine's attorney stepped forward for one final point. "Your Honor, we ask the court to note a recurring phrase used by Mr. Brown, our legacy. It appears this legacy includes only Mr. Brown and Robin Brown, deliberately excluding his other spiritual spouses and their children." The judge nodded, noted. Janelle rose, handing over a worn manila folder. "Everything we ever sacrificed to keep this family going," she said softly. "It's time the court sees the truth of our side of the story." Meri remained silent but resolute. Christine's gaze met Janelle's, a quiet nod passing between them. Kody sat alone, glancing at the empty benches. For the first time, uncertainty replaced his arrogance. The court would resume soon, but the damage was already done. Pretense had crumbled. Lies had been exposed. And the empire Kody had built not on family but on secrecy and manipulation, was beginning to fall apart piece by piece. Piece by piece. And Robin was your queen. The rest of us were just workers on your land. Kody looked away. Even some of the media in the back of the courtroom sat quietly, no longer just reporters but witnesses to a crumbling dynasty. Christine sank into her chair, her face no longer burning with rage, but softened with relief. Finally, someone had said everything aloud. Robin still shook, trying to compose herself. She whispered something to Kody, but he did not respond. Outside, fans clutched their phones as live updates scroll across screens. Twitter was ablaze, TikTok edits trending with hashtags like Judge Kody on trial and Brown family breakdown. Inside the courthouse, the case had reached a breaking point. Then, just when it seemed nothing more could shock the courtroom, Meri quietly raised her hand. "Your Honor," she said softly. "I know I wasn't called to testify yet, but I think it's time." The judge paused, then nodded. "Proceed." Meri walked steadily to the witness box, calm but carrying years of quiet pain. "I stayed the longest," she began, her voice steady, even when there was nothing left to stay for. "Because I believed in the covenant. I believed that even if the love faded, the promise wouldn't. But I was wrong. It wasn't just favoritism. It wasn't just neglect. It was exclusion. Systematic. Strategic. You made us feel disposable while you made her feel permanent." Tears welled in her eyes. "And now you sit there watching all of us burn, pretending you're the victim." Kody's lips trembled, but he remained silent. The judge leaned in. "Mrs. Brown, do you believe you were emotionally manipulated by the defendant?" "Yes," Meri replied firmly over and over again. The gavel struck. "This court will adjourn for the day," the judge announced. "We will reconvene tomorrow morning for cross-examinations and further evidence presentation." The session ended, yet no one moved. Robin sobbed quietly. Kody didn't glance at his wives. And Christine, Janelle, and Meri didn't look back either. They stood together like survivors of the same storm. Gwendolyn joined them as they exited, not as witnesses, not as victims, but as women reclaiming their truth. The next session opened less like a courtroom and more like an arena. Momentum had shifted. 3 wives had presented evidence that painted a clear pattern of deception. The recording had ignited embers of doubt everywhere. Now it was Kody's turn to respond. His attorney rose, projecting calm confidence. "Your Honor," he said, "my client will admit imperfection, but this case is far from the one-sided narrative being portrayed. We intend to show that Mr. Brown acted in good faith to protect the family and preserve shared assets from mismanagement and external threats. We will also present evidence questioning the motives of the plaintiffs, Christine, Janelle, and Meri." A ripple passed through the gallery. The judge's jaw tightened. "Proceed." Kody stood, no longer pleading innocence but radiating resolve. Families change. People leave. When your family fractures publicly, predators, real estate sharks, and litigators circle. I had to act fast to protect the children and what remained. Some decisions were harsh, but I acted in what I believed was the family's best interest. The defense called witnesses, realtors, accountants, and a forensic financial analyst to explain the complex legal maneuvers and tax strategies. On paper, nothing was illegal. Strategic placement of assets, temporary shelters, legal technicalities, cold logic to counter emotional testimony. But Christine's attorney pushed harder on motive. "You had motive to hide funds," she said. "You used your position to manipulate trust, emotionally and financially. That is not speculation. That is pattern." Kody's attorney fired back, accusing Christine of financial maneuvering. "She sold property without full disclosure and then accuses my client of theft. That is deflection, not victimhood." The courtroom erupted. Christine slumped forward, stunned. The defense introduced their first smoking gun: property deeds, dated signatures, and transfers occurring immediately after family disputes. They argued these were independent actions by wives who had left the covenant, freeing them from financial obligations. Letters of separation and public statements corroborated their claims. Christine's attorney countered fiercely. "Leaving a manipulative situation is not the same as renouncing rights. Assets purchased collectively or in trust cannot be spun as unilateral betrayals." Kody no longer looked like a man pleading innocence. He looked like a man demanding recognition of wrongs committed against him. Then came the private investigator's evidence: photos, messages, and travel receipts suggesting the plaintiffs had consulted external advisors well before the public split, allegedly preparing to secure assets. Christine's voice low with contempt. "So now we're accused of planning our own victimhood?" Kody's final move, a sealed affidavit. The courtroom leaned in as it was brought forward. Kody's lawyer presented it, stating it demonstrated that the plaintiffs had quietly opened lines of credit, arranged financial recovery, and were not merely passive victims. Gasps echoed. Christine trembled. The affidavit, read aloud, framed some of the plaintiffs' actions as opportunism. Sutton hissed, "We will contest its validity. It's produced at the 11th hour by an interested party." Kody's attorney shrugged. "The truth has a way of arriving." The judge deferred full admission until the trustee document's provenance was verified, leaving a temporary, tense victory hanging in the air. Cross-examination of Christine resumed. Kody's attorney highlighted ambiguities, minor hesitations, and motive, attempting to unsettle her testimony. Christine remained precise, reiterating the lies, the broken trust, and violated covenant. She maintained her narrative, but under scrutiny revealed the strain and vulnerability that the defense sought to exploit. When Christine left the stand, she met her daughters in the gallery. Gwen held her hand, a small island of solidarity amid the storm. As the judge adjourned, she reminded both sides, evidence must be weighed carefully. Emotion will not replace evidence. We will reconvene tomorrow to review trustee documents and additional witness testimony. The gavel struck. No closure, just a pause between lightning strikes. In the hallway, Kody and Robin spoke quietly. Kody muttered, "We got through it." Robin's response, barely audible, shook the air. At what cost? Across the corridor, Christine, Janelle, and Meri stood together, resolute. They had weathered blows, but the sealed affidavit left the courtroom with an ominous question. If both sides engaged in secret financial maneuvers, was this about one man's greed? Or a family so fractured that survival instincts overrode every covenant? The next morning, the courtroom reopened under a heavy cloud of suspense. Meri sat quietly beside Christine and Janelle, holding a worn yellow envelope. Kody sat at the defense table, arms crossed, lips pressed tight. Robin avoided his gaze. The judge called the court to order. "We will now hear from Meri Brown." Meri rose, firm but low-voiced. "I've remained silent for years out of fear, but the family has already fractured. The truth must be heard." She passed the envelope to the clerk, who handed it to the judge. "This," Meri explained, "is our original spiritual marriage covenant, signed in 2011 after Robin joined the family. Kody asked us to sign it to symbolize unity, equality, and financial partnership. He said, 'This document will protect all of us if anything ever goes wrong.'" The judge carefully opened the envelope and began reading aloud. "We, the undersigned, do agree that all property, assets, and income acquired under the Brown family name, whether jointly or individually, shall be considered equally owned and accessible by all wives and Kody Brown, regardless of legal marital status. No wife shall be left without a home, financial support, or ownership in the event of separation." The courtroom was rocked into silence. Christine's jaw dropped. Janelle whispered, "He made us believe in it." Kody's lawyer immediately stood. "Objection, Your Honor. This document is spiritual in nature and holds no legal weight." But Meri stepped forward, her voice steady. "It might not be a legal contract, but it guided our decisions for years. I have proof that we used it to divide assets at least twice, 2013 and 2016, long before any separations." She handed the judge a set of documents, financial notes, emails, and spreadsheets, all referencing the Brown family covenant. The judge leaned in. "It appears this covenant, while not notarized, was operationalized through financial decisions. That gives it weight." Kody's face hardened. Christine's attorney seized the moment. "Your Honor, if the covenant guided financial decisions and was treated as binding by the family, then Robin, receiving exclusive property rights, violated principles agreed upon by all parties." Robin's voice cracked. "It was Kody's idea. I just did what he said." The judge's gaze cut through her. "You are a co-owner of these properties. You cannot defer responsibility." Meri's eyes locked on Kody. "I was the first wife. I knew what that covenant meant. And I also know when it stopped meaning anything. When Robin started getting everything, the rest of us were told to just trust the process. You turned marriage into a transaction, Kody. And Robin, you became the vault." The courtroom gasped. The judge's voice rang out. "This covenant may be enforceable under the doctrine of promissory estoppel. Mr. Brown, if the court finds evidence that this covenant was relied upon, you are legally barred from denying its validity. You cannot promise equality. Let your partners act on that promise, and then revoke it for personal gain." Robin panicked. "What does that mean?" Christine grabbed her arm. "We might actually win this." Meri looked at her sisters-in-law. "You were never the enemy. Kody made us fight each other so we wouldn't look at him." Inside, the courtroom erupted. Robin couldn't contain herself. "I didn't want this. I didn't ask for the house or the money or to be the legal wife. Kody made me do it? If I didn't, we'd lose everything." Christine stepped forward. "Then why didn't you say something years ago?" Robin shook her head. "I was scared. Scared I'd lose him too. I never wanted to be the reason we ended up here." The judge called a recess. Outside, Kody paced, furious yet cornered. Robin sat silently, detached from him. Meri, Christine, and Janelle shared a quiet, profound moment of solidarity. When court resumed, a new witness entered. Jason Harper, a private auditor. He presented records of a secret bank account in Kody's name, fed by funds from the Flagstaff estate and used to purchase a Sedona property via an LLC, completely undisclosed to the other wives. The courtroom erupted. Kody denied wrongdoing. Harper presented the LLC registration. Kody was the sole managing member. The judge slammed her gavel. "Concealment of financial information will not be tolerated. Further hidden assets may trigger criminal investigation." Then Janelle submitted her decade-long household ledger. The numbers were staggering. Between 2020 and 2022, Robin received 74% of discretionary spending. The rest of the wives scraped by, sometimes skipping medical care while Robin got luxury items. Gasps filled the room. Christine rose. Kody didn't take care of anyone. He took care of himself, using Robin to shield his greed. The judge nodded. Closing arguments. Christine's attorney was relentless. "This is about a system of deception where one man used loyalty and fear to control women and hoard wealth. These women sacrificed everything. Justice is the only fair outcome." Kody's attorney tried to defend him. He made mistakes under pressure, never to harm. But his words fell flat. Kody's control was gone. Robin had distanced herself, tears streaming. Then Christine's daughter, Kelty, stepped forward. "We watched him break our mothers one piece at a time. They didn't leave him. He broke them. It's time the court knew the truth." The judge delivered the partial ruling. Assets in Robin's name would be reassessed. The Sedona property would be redistributed to Christine, Janelle, and Meri. And Kody would pay $150,000 in damages, $50,000 each, for emotional harm and financial manipulation. Kody attempted a final dramatic reveal, a USB recording alleging betrayal by Christine. The judge allowed it but deemed it lacking context, leaving it insignificant in her ruling. Finally, the court adjourned. Outside, reporters swarmed. Christine, Janelle, and Meri emerged together, not as wives of one man, but as women who had reclaimed their power. Kelty hugged her mother. Christine spoke to the press. "I didn't come here for revenge. I came to end a cycle. We rewrote the story. Anyone watching, your voice matters. It's never too late to speak up." The Brown Empire was gone. Kody vanished from public view. Robin disappeared into privacy. But the story endured. When power is built on silence, it only takes one voice and one act of courage to bring it all crashing down. Weeks passed since the courtroom battle. The Brown women were finally free from the shadow Kody had cast over their lives. Arizona mornings found Christine, Janelle, and Meri sitting together at a small cafe, sipping coffee and laughing softly. No cameras. No scripts. Just freedom. Christine looked around at her friends, her allies, and felt a weight lift. "We survived him. Not just the trial, but everything that led to it," she said. Meri nodded. "For the first time, it feels like we can actually breathe." Janelle added, "And we're stronger because of it. I never thought I'd see this day." Meanwhile, Kody's world had shrunk to silence. Without the family empire to prop him up, without control over the Sedona property or the assets he hid, he was a ghost in Arizona. Rumors swirled about books, podcasts, and interviews, but none came to fruition. His brand, built on the image of a family leader, had evaporated. Robin, too, vanished from public life. Some say she left Arizona entirely, retreating to rebuild herself far from the eyes of a world that had once demanded she be a pawn. Others reported she stayed quietly nearby, helping her children heal, living a life free from fear and control. The social media storm subsided, but the lessons remained. Clips of courtroom confessions, ledger pages, and Kelty's testimony circulated online for months. People shared Christine's words on every platform. "Your voice matters. It's never too late to speak up." Her declaration became a movement for women trapped in coercive relationships, a beacon of courage. And yet, the story's most lasting impact was personal. The women, once rivals in a house controlled by one man, now found solidarity. They began new ventures together, small businesses, family initiatives, and support networks for other women who had been silenced. Their bond was no longer defined by a husband, but by shared survival and empowerment. Kody Brown, once feared as the patriarch, existed only in stories and headlines. His control stripped, his empire dissolved, and his legacy tarnished, he was left to grapple with the consequences of years of manipulation. In the end, the story wasn't about one man's fall. It was about the women reclaiming their lives, their finances, their dignity, and their voices. Outside the courthouse that final day, Christine, Janelle, and Meri stood together, facing cameras and reporters, united and unshakable. Christine raised her voice one last time. We weren't silent anymore. And that silence? That's what he feared most. Today we speak. Today we are free. And anyone watching, find your voice. Fight for it. Protect it. Use it. The press clattered with questions, cameras flashed, but she walked away, head held high. Janelle and Meri followed, and for the first time in years, the sisters-in-law walked not in Kody's shadow, but in their own light. And as the courthouse doors closed behind them, the world outside knew one truth. When power is built on silence, it takes courage and unity to shatter it. The Brown saga had ended, not with domination or revenge, but with justice, reclamation, and the undeniable rise of those who refuse to be controlled.